Hello and welcome to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as you all know, I don't do this Mike, I think, is there something wrong with your lighting, Mike?
Craig, it's the day after St. Patrick's Day. Can you keep the noise down?
The day after. Okay, let us be clear. It is the evening after St. Patrick's Day. You've had all day to recover, Mike.
It might be evening where you are. It's still the day after. Let me see if I can't. Oh no, that's too much. I gotta bring it down some.
There you go. Just go all squinty and stuff. Well, folks, as you know, I don't do this program by myself. I'll let my recovering friend introduce himself.
I am welcome back. My name is Mike Piroworski. I am the co-host to the Rundown. I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most. From the co-host with the most here on the Rundown, where we bring you two-way views to conservative news. But Craig, I have a co-host also today.
Oh, do you? Who might that be?
He insists on following me. Although we said our goodbyes last night. It's my friend JMO. And he said he wanted to say hello to everybody today and say that he's looking forward to you 364 days from now.
Exactly.
JMO, back on the shelf.
He reintroduced himself and is planning on hanging out for a while.
Back on the shelf with your friends. Go. In the corner with the other Irishes. Go.
Okay, so what is the second most famous or infamous or known Irish whiskey? Because we know Jameson is number one. What's next?
Proper 12.
Proper 12. There you go. That was the one that used to be owned by Conor McGregor.
Exactly right.
Right.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Nice.
What'd you think? You were going to trick me with a whiskey question?
No, I actually wanted to know. I didn't know which one was next. That one was actually the next one in my mind when I started thinking. Proper 12 is the only other one that I really can think of off the top of my head.
There you go. And if you could think off the top of your head, you haven't been drinking any.
At least not today.
Not today, JMO.
Not today.
You had your fun last night. You go back on the shelf. Don't look at me like that. On the shelf. Sorry.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we got to get into the program because I actually have a plane to catch. I'm going to be heading down to Southern California. I'm going to be hanging out with the folks at the California Republican Assembly. We're going to be doing some live feeds from out there. But they've got their annual convention coming up, folks. Trust me, if you are in SoCal, you do not want to miss it. Follow the link in the description of this video for the California Republican Assembly. Check it out. Larry Elder will be there. Dr. John Eastman will be there. Folks from the Unity Project. Good times will be had by all. Make sure you guys come on out. It is a good gathering of good conservative folk in the state of California.
Have a good time. Enjoy it. While you're there, I'll be fondling my high-capacity magazines thinking of you.
Well, I have a few. I do have some standard capacity magazines myself. So.
Oh, Freedom Days. That's right. You
Week, Freedom Week. Yes. Freedom Week. Yeah. I took a little bit of advantage during Freedom Week.
There you go.
But that was good. So hey,
get yourself a whole truckload.
There you go. Well, I didn't get a truckload, but I got a few. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get into today's topic. Energy independence. Now, you might remember that during the Trump administration, we had actually gotten to the point where we were energy independent, where we actually were producing most of the oil that we were utilizing. In fact, we became a net oil exporter as opposed to a net oil importer. Well, starting from day one, President Biden basically nixed that. He basically signed an executive order which nixed the Keystone Pipeline, which would have reduced the cost for oil coming from Alaska and Canada down to the United States. He also removed the ability to explore or any new leases that were going to be issued. He nixed all those leases on new lands for new prospective oil. He nixed all that, and then put a whole bunch of additional fees and royalties for basically payments to the government on the ones that were existing. And so in many cases, some folks just said, yeah, it's not worth it for us to explore for oil in some of these areas because, well, hey, we're not going to make a profit. Well, there was a bill that was put forth in the House that would have undone a number of those things. And needless to say, the Democrats blocked it. Now, once again, these are the folks who are lamenting about the price of gas, Mike, although, they're blaming it wholly on Russia and what's going on in Ukraine. But at the same time, they're not doing the one thing that we can do that would reduce the cost of gasoline, the cost of crude oil. The one thing we can do is produce here. They absolutely positively refuse to do.
Craig, it's like we're living in the world's longest game of I told you so. About 15 months now of the presidency. Go back a few more months during the campaign, and it's just like, I told you so. You didn't want to believe us, huh? The angry tweets are keeping you from seeing what you need to see. This is unconscionable is the right word, Craig. He doesn't even mention the, perhaps releasing a day or two from the strategic oil reserves. It makes me wonder if they're even there, Craig. Otherwise, we would have heard of them before. Maybe he's already depleted them and we're not even aware of it. Maybe he's already sold them off. I have no idea. Why isn't this pipeline open? Why are we suffering? Why are we still buying oil from Russia if we're doing all of these boycotts and sanctions? Can you explain that to me, Greg? I don't understand what this guy is doing, and I don't think he does either.
No, he really doesn't, and he's doing whatever it is they tell him to do, and whatever the folk there who are feeding him his pudding and giving him his num-nums and his medication. He's doing whatever it is that they tell him to do. And that's really about it. I just, I don't know what else to tell you, Mike, except that I'm hoping that all voters are paying attention, because this is it. Ultimately, people have to realize that this is what they voted for. You're starting to see even CNN who's starting to point out some things relating to Joe Biden that he's doing that are flat out not working. And now they're not necessarily blaming him, but it's very easy to connect the dots. And the average voter's got to see just how bad this guy is. And how bad, by the way, and the thing about this isn't even him. This is House Democrats, right? These are Democrats in the House, the progressives who want us to rely on wind and solar and electric eels to have electricity and power and fuel our cars.
But this is it, right? I mean, this is what we see. We see the House Dems now coming to him because they know, unless something crazy like the Megacron comes out the month before election and we got to lock us all down again, that they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose the House. So they're coming forth now to the Biden administration every day, trying to get executive orders put in place on all sorts of things that they haven't been able to push through, or they know they're not going to get through when they lose. It's just it's a 2-year-long game of I told you so.
Ain't though. That's actually exactly what it is. A 2-year-long game of I told you so. And the problem is that they really don't care that we told them so. People are not really interested in hearing the truth. Sad as it is, that is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, absolutely. Moving right along. Another folly of the Biden administration. And the interesting thing about this one is actually being covered by CNN, which, by the way, totally shocked me and surprised me. But in essence, CNN is pointing out that there is another wave of immigrants coming from South America who are going to be seeking asylum in the United States or seeking to become legal residents of the United States. About 25,000 of them supposedly have already taken up a residence, or at least temporary residence, there in Mexico. But there's a wave of about 170,000 folks who will soon be at our southern border. Now, it sounds really bad. I mean, CNN makes it sound like it's this big, huge thing. But Mike, that's less than the average number of of immigrants that we've been seeing at our southern border. I mean, that's basically that's about a month's worth of illegal immigrant or undocumented immigrants that, by the way, actually have interactions with law enforcement. I mean, with people. Those are not. That doesn't count the ones who got away, who successfully got across the border and had no interactions with anybody.
It's another wave, and it's like trying to hold back the ocean with the broom, Craig. I don't understand what's the issue here. They want to let them in anyway. Why are we even pretending to stop them at the border? Why aren't we just handing them, check cards and or cash cards and let them come in and spend their money, spend our money that we're giving them? I don't understand how we let this continue to happen. The border equipment that is sitting there is costing us millions of dollars a day, as it rots away. Why are we even pretending to look like we're stopping them coming across the border? I get it. You know what? The good people of law enforcement are down there, and the Border Patrol are still looking for, slave labor smuggling, child smuggling, narcotics, firearms, whatever it might be. But once we get the people and they stop the people, it's like, yeah, okay, go ahead. The policy says you can go now. So I don't understand what we're doing with this at all at the border anymore. Did I hear Kamala's thinking about going to the border?
I know she was there at one point. I do not believe she is considered. I do not believe she's planning on going to the border again anytime soon.
Okay, well, let's send her to the border of Ukraine. See what happens that way.
There you go. Send her to the border of the Ukraine.
She could deal with their immigration problem.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, moving right along to our next story. You folks know that New York City in particular is the most anti-gun place probably in the entire country, probably even more so than the city of San Francisco. Well, there's an interesting story that's out that has come out, and this was actually one that is being this is an item that excuse me. This was an item that's actually being put out there by CBS New York. And what they're noting is that, JFK has become kind of a hotbed of, it has become kind of the place there in New York. In other words, there in the city of New York, there where people are basically gun running. It is the spot where people are actually, they've broken up a number of rings there. As noted in this particular piece, federal and local law enforcement are working together, and they're stopping the flow of guns through mail. Now, it's through the mail facility there at JFK, but it's still at the airport nonetheless. And Mike, do you have any more details on this particular story, or any thoughts?
Yeah, let's be clear on this. It's not like there's passengers running through there with guns and they're strapping to themselves. It's It's one of the biggest mail distribution centers on the East Coast. Anything that comes in from overseas, from Europe, from Eastern Europe as well, comes through either Newark or JFK. It's all processed through there for customs. It's all processed through there by the post office and heads out from there. So this just so happens to be the major point from the Postal Service in that corridor. So I guess people have realized that, listen, they're so overworked that maybe if we ship things through the mail, we can squeak them through. And even if they don't, Craig, listen, it doesn't take a rocket science to realize I put a fake false address where it's coming from and a fake false address where it's being delivered to, or a vacant house where it's being delivered to, right? How long does it take? Craig, how long do you think it would take you in your neighborhood to find a vacant house?
Not long at all.
Not long at all. Put that address on there, have your illegal shipments mailed there, let it sit there for 2-3 days, then you go pick it up.
Right. I just want to.
If you get caught, you know what you say? My neighbor asked me to pick up his mail for him.
Oh, there you go. For me, like I said, the funniest part about the whole thing is that the funniest thing about this whole thing is it's New York. I mean, it's basically the height of irony.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. You better believe that a huge percentage of these guns are not making it out of JFK. Well, they're not getting into another transportation mode and being, sent elsewhere. The JFK, they're being turned over there to those that are less stringent with obeying the law. Let's say it that way.
Exactly.
They're being turned over to criminals there at JFK and being transported out. And the guns are right there in New York.
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. All right, I wanted to squeak this one in, and you may have noticed. You may have noticed our kind of our ticker over there changing a little bit, and that's because literally this story came through as we are on the program, and I had to make sure that I got this story in. Jim Cooper, who is an assemblyman in the state of California, he is a former deputy sheriff here in California. He is a past candidate for county sheriff in Sacramento, as well as he's actually a current candidate for Sacramento County Sheriff. Well, it turns out that, he was going through the airport and TSA found a gun in his luggage. This is, once again, an anti-gun legislator. They actually found a gun in his, apparently, and I'm literally still going through this. It says here he was not charged during the incident. In fact, Sacramento County Sheriff's Office told the B that local law enforcement stored the discovered firearm for Cooper while he went on his trip. So basically, it was in his carry-on bag. Well, I'm not sure if it was in his carry-on bag or if it was in his luggage and wasn't declared. Anyway, this guy, as a legislator, wasn't charged with anything. Now, mind you, for those of you who do not know, there was another legislator who was a Republican legislator who did the exact same thing, and a number of members of the legislature wanted to throw the book at him. But now a Democrat legislator does this. I just think it is the height of irony, and I'm sure that this was probably an innocent mistake. But once again, when you're dealing with anti-gun legislators who don't want to really give gun owners any real benefit of the doubt, it just warms one's heart for them to be in a position where they require that sort of grace and leniency.
Craig, I had the opportunity to read this story, and it says that it was in the carry-on as he tried to bring through his messenger bag. And here's the quote, which looks like a purse. Okay. First off, I think I'd be a little less concerned that my candidate for sheriff had a gun on him as opposed to he was carrying a purse. That's what I'd be more worried about. That my candidate for sheriff was carrying a purse. Ha, jokes, folks. We got him. This is everybody should be treated equally, right? It doesn't matter if it's Democrat, if it's Republican. If you're going to be dumb enough to smuggle a gun through TSA's checkpoint, you should get the punishment that they've handed out more than 50% of the time over the last year. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. If Granny got it, if the 20-something-year-old got it, then you should get it as well.
Well, so here's what happened to the Republican. Now, here's what's funny. The Republican legislator got charged. I was looking at his name was Tim Donnelly. He was actually charged. He was fined over $2,100, and he was placed on 3 years probation, and that was in 2014. Right. So wait a minute. So you're telling me one guy actually gets, he's not even charged. In fact, they held the firearm for Jim Cooper. They held the firearm for him while he went on his trip. But another legislator actually wound up getting charged, fined, and put on probation.
Yeah, but not him, right? Because he's a Democrat candidate, right?
Right.
They just held his gun for him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm done. It is amazing. Anyway, I had to mention that because I know Jim Cooper. I know Jim Cooper personally. He's one of those cops. He's one of those guys who's like a Second Amendment butt.
Yes.
He enjoys the Second Amendment. He believes in allowing people to own firearms, but he believes that the government should determine what firearms that you should own, and who is noble enough, who is blessed enough, who is elite enough to be able to own and possess a firearm.
I am the elite.
And the very fact that he's running for sheriff, I think this is pretty much going to undo his campaign.
Good for him. Good for you.
I'm ecstatic.
Or he'll win by a landslide now. He'll go up in points.
No, no, do not wish that. Do not wish that on us. Do not, do not,
Yeah,
do not, do not, do
I'm
not.
saying, Democrat caught committing gun crime. That's good. That's got to be a 5-point bump.
Well, it didn't help Lee Lin Yi, but then again, he was actually gun running.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. What
Senator
happened
Lee
to the,
Lin Yi
what about the
working
guy
with
with
Chinese
the
gangs to set up the import of illegal firearms.
what about the guy with the helmet hair?
Which one was that?
The one with the ghost gun that shoots 30 rounds a second.
Oh, De
The ghost
Leon.
rifle.
I don't think he's ever
Yeah,
been
yeah, with the
charged with
helmet
a gun
hair.
crime.
Yeah. You sure?
I'm not sure. I don't recall him ever being charged with a gun crime.
Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. It's a lot to remember.
The only crime he committed was that press conference where he talked about the firing 600. What was I even
Right,
forgot
yeah.
it was.
Right. That's the one where he had the helmet hair on. Yeah.
That he always has the helmet hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I love sometimes when it comes out and it's like here
30 magazine clip.
instead of here. It's yeah.
100 magazine
it's got
clip,
the,
whatever it was.
The shoulder thing that goes up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure that a copy of that video will actually wind up in the comments section of the show, probably even before we get off.
Listen, they'll be playing that video when he gets to St. Peter's pearly gates. They'll be like, "Did you really say this?
Did you really say that? Really?
And what's with the hair, dude? And what's with the hair?
What's with the hair, dude?
Yep.
All right, moving right along. So let's get back on track to our next story. So ATF, and you guys know we've talked a lot about the ATF, and the ATF has actually gotten to a point now, and they're basically, I believe they're actually under the direction of the White House. And Biden said that he was going to go out of his way to shut down, quote unquote, gun dealers or firearms retailers that he believed were nuisance retailers. Well, with that, we've actually come to find that ATF is actually specifically targeting FFLs for license revocation. Now, normally what happens is, especially when you're dealing with minor paperwork infractions, and mind you, most of the issues that FFLs or firearms retailers deal with are paperwork issues, because dealing with the paperwork is so frigging complicated. But they're almost never, ever in trouble for selling firearms to prohibited people. Or, a lot of times maybe it's record keeping. This firearm should have been recorded as this thing instead of as that thing, or should have been recorded this way instead of that way. That's the sort of stuff that normally FFLs get dinged for. Well, they actually want to now revoke their licenses for those small paperwork errors. And they're going out of their way to make sure that they can do that.
It is the ATF, pure and simple, deciding under the guidance of this administration that they want to have less FFLs. So they're looking at any minor infraction whatsoever, whether it was on the fault of the FFL, the fault of the reporting agency they may have spoken to, report of the individual filling out the 4473. No matter who it might be at fault, the ATF is going out of their way for, when they find fault, to revoke the license of those FFL holders, because, again, administration's new policy, less gun holders. That's what we want. So we're going to have less gun dealers and less gun holders.
Right. Historically, they're only supposed to really go after them for willful violations, right? Things like transferring a firearm to a prohibited person, failing to conduct the required background check, falsifying records. Now, in my opinion, those are things that if you're doing those things, you should probably lose your license. But if you record a firearm
probably go to jail
improperly,
too.
If you're recording something improperly, not falsifying records, or you filed something improperly or something like that, this zero tolerance policy that they have, I think, is just it's asinine. And once again, if anyone who's ever been in FFL knows how hard it is to comply with a lot of this stuff. It's the reason why when you are in a state like California, a lot of FFLs just move out of California, because you have to do that, but you have to do it twice, because the California DOJ is even worse than ATF.
That's right. Very true. Very true. They're trying to make it as difficult as possible for those that are not in California. California's got it difficult enough, but like I said, trying to get rid of them FFLs. They want you to go away. They want as less legitimate gun dealers as possible. So you're going to be gone.
Exactly. Well, but that's the whole point about legitimacy. Who really wants legitimacy?
Yeah.
And that, by the way, takes us to our parting shot today. It probably the first time I ever really stopped to think about how many people watch or realized how few people actually watch CNN was when they compared CNN's audience on a given day to Joe Rogan's podcast, right? On a given day, on any given day, about 500,000 people all day will watch CNN. An average episode, 1 day episode of Joe Rogan's podcast will have between 10 and 11 million views. That's a podcast. That's not even broadcast all over the place, right? Which, by the way, then leads me to our parting shot. Congratulations to CNN for being the first network with more employees than viewers.
Absolutely true. And they just fired a bunch of people that work there. So it's even less than you think.
Well, exactly. Well, it depends. Now, they fired a few. Now, if they fired everybody who was probably involved in some sort of sexual impropriety, I'm surprised there's anyone left there to lock the door and turn off the lights.
Yeah, they call that the Cuomo floor. They shut that down.
That was the Cuomo floor. Well, it's just... The funny part is that really they've lost a lot. A lot of what they've lost since Donald Trump was no longer president. You'd think that they would be rooting for Donald Trump to be elected president again because that might make their network relevant again.
Yeah, right. Very true. Very true. But not so much because it's still CNN. And I don't know. I think the last time I watched CNN was when Wolf Blitzer during Desert Storm. That was about it. That's how long ago it's been for me.
I've been, I try to watch some, I try to read some, only because of what I do for my various different clients. I try to find out what's in the media on all sides. And trust me, it's me and a barf bag sitting there watching it. I can only do it in small stints. I can't watch it long term. But it is nauseating because for the most part, they lie. They do not tell the whole truth. And I dare not even watch CNN International because I know that it is all anti-America all the time.
Yes, absolutely right. Exactly right. Yep. It went from, what do you call it? The Communist News Network, the Clinton News Network, the Cuomo News Network. I don't know how they're still there. It should be the Can't News Network,
Soon to be the Closed News Network.
The Closed News Network. There you go. Just like that. Yep.
All right, Micah. Hey, well, how about a quick shout out to our sponsors before we go?
Let's say hello to our good friends at Gorilla Machining, Grid Defense, and of course our good friends at the California Republican Assembly, where you'll be this weekend, Craig. You're going there in a couple hours.
Yes, I am literally going to be, as soon as we get off here, I'm going to pack my stuff up, go hop on a plane. We're going to be doing a live feed there. Actually, starting tonight, there's going to be a really good speaker there tonight. You'll see it all at cragop.org, so check it out. Also, make sure you guys visit Grid Defense and Gorilla Machining. They've been really phenomenal in terms of helping and supporting us so that we can do this program and bring this program to you. Follow their links in the description of this video. When you get there, especially if you buy something, let them know that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. With that, we want to appreciate and say we thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't done those things, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast, please make sure to let people know wherever you get podcasts, you can find us. Doesn't matter where, just look up The Rundown, 2A News and Conservative Views, and you will find Mikey and me in the audio version. Yeah.
Pass us around, folks. Pass us around.
Talk to you later. Talk to you on Monday.